Division battle for the Houston Astros. A nice day, and Shane Reynolds will try to get his first win ever at Wrigley today against the Chicago Cubs. It's the finale of a two-game series. Stay tuned. The Astros and Cubs are next. Last night in Chi-Town, Jose Lima tied Mike Hampton for the league lead with his fifth victory. Astros offense chimed in with a couple of late-inning long balls to boost Houston to the 10-5 win. Today, the Astros hope to stretch another one out at Wrigley. Astros-Cubs on 51. Live from Wrigley Field in Chicago, KNWS and the Houston Astros bring you Major League Baseball. Today, the Central Division champions take on the Chicago Cubs in the finale of a two-game series. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Brown along with Jim Deshaies. The Astros continue to roll, play good baseball on the road, and come from behind to win last night, J.D.
That's the first time all year the Cubs have been beaten after they've had a lead after 6 innings.
Jose Lima was all smiles on the bus today, and he should be, really, even though he gave up a couple of long balls. He went 6 innings, and sometimes for a starting pitcher with a good attack behind him, that's enough, Jim.
Yeah, that's the key. You pitch deep enough into the game, hold the other club at bay somewhat. Lima did that last night, and with our offense, pitcher's going to win a lot of games if he does that.
And we'll show you some of that offense on the highlights of the ballgame, which proved to be a 10-5 win for Houston. But it was a hard-earned win last night as the Astros fell behind. Lima had the strikeouts going. He had 7 in the ballgame. Sammy Sosa later got a hit to have a 12-game hitting streak, but Lima got him there. Carl Everett supported defensively in center field. A good catch in the 3rd inning on Blauser. The Astros trailed 3-1 at the time. Now here was a key play. Everett drives in a couple, and Moises Alou is safe in the 7th inning. This is a close play at the plate, and Scott Service thought he had him out, Jim.
Well, when you're playing good baseball, Brownie, it seems like you get all the breaks. A bang-banger at the play. Scotty Service thought he had the plate blocked, but he didn't get the call.
And in the 7th inning, C.J. Nitkowski came in. He got his 2nd save of the year with 3 innings. Brant Brown caught looking. In the 8th, the Astros got out the home run bats with Osmus and Biggio going deep. And this is another nice feature for not only Lima but Nitkowski. More working room in the late innings, Jim.
Yeah, more working room for C.J. Good to see Brad Osmus get hot with the play. Bidge was laughing about this one after the game. This was kind of a Wrigley Field home run. He didn't get all of it, but he got just enough of it with the wind blowing out.
We have a treat for you today. A youngster from Texas will take the mound for Chicago. He is Kerry Woods. He's 20 years old. He's already won a couple of games here in Wrigley Field this year. He's 2-2 overall. With a rather high ERA, Shane Reynolds is 2-2. His ERA 4.33. But Wood has a very crisp fastball and special stuff, Jim.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun matchup. You get the veteran guy, the savvy guy in Shane Reynolds who really knows how to locate the ball, and Kerry Wood who can just blow you away with that heater. 340 punch-outs in 278 minor league innings. Very impressive stuff.
Well, he was a first-round choice. The Cubs do not feel they've rushed him. They feel that his time has arrived, and National League hitters are going to have to deal with him. He grew up, his dad schooled him to be like Nolan Ryan in the leg kick and that whole thing, and he's followed Roger Clemens as well, so he could be another one of the Texas-born hard-throwing right-handers.
Well, that's all the talk, Brownie. The baton has been passed from Nolan to Roger Clemens, and now Kerry Wood. Similar type guy, the overpowering riding fastball and the big overhand curveball like Nolan Ryan.
Since we're talking about pitching, it's a perfect day to talk more pitching in depth on the field, and we'll be back to do that with a little mini clinic for you in just a moment. Here at Wrigley Field, it's game 2 of a 2-game series between the Astros and the Chicago Cubs on a nice day. It's always a beautiful day, it seems, for hitting in Wrigley Field, but Jim Deshaies, pitching is still the name of the game in baseball. It's what everybody craves for a good team, and we're going to have the chance here in the next few minutes to talk about pitching and the basic philosophy of pitching. You're trying to mess up the hitter's timing.
Exactly, Brownie. We talked so much over the course of the year about different pitches to the viewers, 2-seam fastball, 4-seam fastball, forkballs, changeups. We thought it'd be fun to show them what the pitches look like in terms of the grip, and then we've got some shots of some of our pitchers throwing these pitches, and we can see how the hitters react, how they're actually upsetting their timing.
Very good. Let's talk about the fastball. First of all, there are two different sorts of fastballs. The two-seam fastball sinks. The four-seam doesn't sink as much. It rides, so it would not necessarily be moving upward. That would take a pitch of about probably 220 miles per hour, but still, it looks like it's going up on the monitor.
Yeah, it defies gravity a little bit. It doesn't go down as quick as the sinker. The four-seam fastball obviously is thrown with all four seams. You throw it across the wide part of the ball so that when it's released, you impart backspin on the ball. And that tends to fight gravity and friction a little bit, and the ball will stay on plane longer. The power pitchers use it. Nolan Ryan had a great four-seam fastball. Billy Wagner has a great four-seam fastball. You like to throw it up in the zone. You get swings and misses with it, and you also get a lot of pop-ups.
The hitter obviously has to start his bat very quickly to hit this pitch. We'll see the four-seamer from Billy Wagner now.
Now here it is in slow motion, that good riding fastball. You notice it doesn't have any tailing action or any movement really. It's just power pitch up in the zone. Maybe has a little hop on it. It gets by the hitter upstairs. Great pitch for a power pitcher.
And most pitchers work off the fastball. They set up that pitch and then they deviate from it to mess up the hitter's timing. One derivative of the fastball is a cut fastball, and this has put Mike Hampton on the map, although he's added much more pitches along the way. But still, the cut fastball has that movement coming inside to a right-handed batter and down and in from a lefty pitcher.
That's right, and sometimes it's a matter of semantics, Brownie. What one guy calls a slider, another person calls a cut fastball, somebody else may call it a slur, but they're basically the same. You're going to take a look at Mike Hampton's cut fastball in a little bit, but essentially what you do, and there's a lot of different ways to grip this ball, but it's more a function of the angle than the grip. Here I've got my four-seam fastball grip, but to throw the cutter or slider, I'm just going to rotate it about a third, so I'm cutting through about two-thirds of the ball, and that imparts a kind of a side spin that gives it that good down and in break.
Which brings up a question. Sometimes you grip the ball off center to create some movement.
Sure, like a cut fastball, you might move your hands over off the middle of the ball, and instead of turning it, you'll just throw straight through it. But because you're off center, you're going to get that same spin that I talked about earlier by tilting the wrist.
And if Mike Hampton starts that pitch inside on a right-handed batter and it comes down and in, he gets a lot of ground balls to third base.
Sure he does, and he gets a lot of swings over the top of it. Here it is, because it looks like a fastball leaving his hand, and he just continues to bite down and in hard under the right-handers, and it's an effective pitch to left-handed hitters as well, breaking down and away from them.
Shane Reynolds will be pitching today. We'll see the split-fingered fastball from him, and this pitch was really popularized going back to the 80s. Mike Scott and a lot of other pitchers became very successful throwing it in combination with the fastball, because the fastball would not dive and dip the way this pitch does.
That's right, and again, a split finger is a power pitch because it's held narrow to the seams. Shane often throws, he calls it a split finger, but I think it's more like a fork ball because he gets wide with it, and essentially it becomes a changeup. When Shane throws his fork ball, he gets hitters out in front of it. So the wider you get with that grip, the slower the pitch is going to be. The tighter you get, it's going to have sinking action, but it goes harder. So Shane throws that fork ball, and he gets the hitters out in front of it.
Don't you have to have long fingers to throw that pitch?
Well, it's best thrown, yeah, you got to have it out on your fingertips. And there's a myth about the forkball. A lot of people think it squirts through the top of the fingers, but actually you throw it with that kind of action, you pump down on it, and it comes out, and it has overspin as it approaches home plate.
And some people will tell you, well, that action, when you pull down on the ball, might lead to arm problems.
Well, there's some people, because the Giants, when Roger Craig was out there, everybody threw forkballs, and that staff had a lot of problems. But I think it becomes an individual thing. If you throw too many of them, if you throw them with bad mechanics, it doesn't matter if you're throwing a forkball, fastball, or changeup. If you're throwing with improper mechanics, you're going to get hurt.
When Shane throws his pitch, it might resemble a fastball coming up there to the hitter, and then it is nowhere near a fastball.
Yeah, he's got a dive bomber. He's got one of the best in the league, and there's a great look at it there. Again, like a changeup, the hitter sees fastball coming out of Shane's hand, and then the ball just disappears at the plate.
So that's his changeup pitch, his off-speed pitch, as Jim mentioned. Now, Jose Lima has a different type of changeup. He grips it a different way. It's a much slower pitch than his fastball. That is the same effect, but it has a different type action, doesn't it?
Right. Most changeups are choked back in the hand, whether it's a palm ball or the circle change, which a lot of guys throw. I threw mine like that, Brownie, across the four seams. Circle change because you make the OK sign there with your hand like that and grip the ball back underneath the knuckles. And the key again is you throw it just like your fastball, but because of the grip, you can't throw it as hard. Plus, it has tailing action. Tommy Glavine, he turns his changeup. He throws the circle, but he throws it across the narrow part of the seams. He gets a little bit more side spin on that ball, and it goes down and away. Lima has a great changeup.
Now, that pitch would almost squirt out the side of your hand, so to speak, wouldn't it?
It could. It could. You really have to stay on top of it, and then because every pitcher, every time you throw a pitch, regardless of what it is, your hand turns, it pronates. And here's Lima here with that good changeup. He wants to start it mid-thigh, knee-high, and then let it dive out of the zone. More times than not with a changeup, you don't want to throw it in the strike zone. That's one of the myths in pitching. Everybody says he's throwing his changeup or his breaking ball for strikes. 0-0 in the count, sure, you want to throw your off-speed pitches to get ahead. But once you're ahead in the count, you want these pitches to finish out of the strike zone more times than not. You want them to show strike and then fade out of the zone.
Another pitch that most big league pitchers have mastered, it's a staple for them, is the two-seam fastball. It sinks, it has movement. This is very good for getting ground balls.
Right, unlike the four-seamer, it's thrown, show you the narrow seams there. And what most pitchers do, and again, there's a ton of different grips for this, but you want to hook one seam with one finger. This finger I'm going to keep off a seam so that when I throw it, this finger here is pulling hard on that seam, and that's going to impart this kind of spin, and it's going to get the ball moving down and away, sinking, and at least tailing, if not sinking.
C.J. Nitkowski was able to throw an effective curveball. This is a very good weapon for a right-handed pitcher like Kerry Wood today against a right-handed batter, because he's conscious of staying in for the fastball, and then when he sees that rotation, he might pull off.
Yeah, the curveball has a couple different things going for it. One, it's an off-speed pitch. It upsets the hitter's timing. And two, if you're a lefty throwing it to a lefty, you start it at him and break it away from him. It's tough for the hitter to stay in. And a lefty, say, throwing to a righty or vice versa, you like to backdoor the curveball. What we mean by that, you show it outside, you hope the hitter gives up on it, and then it breaks over the outside part of the plate for a called strike.
Is your release point different for a curveball than it would be for a fastball?
Well, most pitching coaches teach to try to throw every pitch from the same angle, from the same slot. The key to a good curveball is you really want to be out in front with the pitch. If you throw the pitch with your hand back by your ear, it's going to hang. You want to have it out in front of your face when you deliver it and really pull down hard to get that good biting action.
We saw that last night from C.J. Nitkowski. He bounced it up there, and sometimes that's what a pitcher wants to do.
Yeah, if you're ahead in the count, the hitter's expanding his strike zone. In slow motion, we have a lot of time to look at it, but in real speed, he doesn't have much time to make an adjustment. Here, he kind of throws that backdoor curveball. He starts it away and breaks it over the outside part of the plate.
So now, when you've looked at all these pitches and you're a major league hitter, you can be thoroughly confused, can't you?
Oh, yeah. The pitchers have a lot of weapons, Brownie, and the guys that can command 2, 3, sometimes even 4 pitches are the great ones. You talk about a guy like Maddox. I mean, he keeps it real simple, but he has the ability to throw sinker, rider, cutter, straight change. I mean, he's got all the weapons.
Now, sometimes you get to a pitch in a major league game, and it has such drastic late movement on it. You look at it and you say, I'm not sure what that was. And that happened with us with Curt Schilling the other night.
Yeah, this is fun, Brownie. I don't know. I have no idea what this pitch. Sometimes in the course of a ball game, the ball will get a little scuff on it, something, a little scratch, and it'll have unbelievable movement. You can't do that with a normal baseball. Curt said it was a split-fingered pitch. Most split-finger pitches go down. And he said it was a new ball that hadn't been rubbed up very much, and he threw it real hard, and it just took off. But I have not seen that since the days of Mike Scott. I mean, that ball really took off. It's impossible to hit.
This was really fun, and it had to be fun for you to see all these ugly swings from the hitters on this segment.
It was fun to talk about pitching and not give up any runs, Brownie.
With an ERA of 0, Jim Deshaies will be back as we get ready for baseball in just a moment. Coming up, the Astros and Cubs meet for the final time until August. Sammy Sosa is always a threat. Shane Reynolds is trying to get his second win of the road trip. And Houston trying to keep it going with 9 wins in the last 10 ball games. Baseball is next from Wrigley. Here at Wrigley, it is a nice warm day. The Cubs have played well here at home. They're 11-6 so far this year. Nice crowd assembled here for the Astros and the Cubs, and we'll check the Astros starting lineup for you. It is a quite different lineup for Larry Dierker today, and you'll see a different cleanup man and third baseman on our lineup, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Greg Biggio is leading it off at second base. Derek Bell in right field. Jeff Bagwell at first base. Jack Howell is getting the start at third base. He is the cleanup man, followed by Moises Alou, and Alou is not in left field but in center field. Dave Clark, the former Cub, gets the start in left. Ricky Gutierrez is the shortstop. A big night last night for him. Brad Ausmus also had quite an evening last night, and Shane Reynolds is on the mound. Kerry Wood was a non-roster pitcher this spring because he was only drafted in '95 in the first round. He's 2-2 with a 5.89 ERA, Jim.
20 years old in the big leagues. What a bright future this guy has, Brownie.
He certainly does. He'll strike out a lot of hitters, 25 in 18 innings so far. He might need a few plays behind him. And the Cubs have a defense of Rodriguez, Brown, and Sosa in the outfield. Ori, Blauser, Morandini, and Grace on the infield. Morandini made a couple of errors last night. Wood and Martinez are the battery mates, with Craig Biggio getting this game underway now. The umpires are Jerry Meals, Terry Tata, Jerry Davis, and Wally Bell. Biggio was hitless until the 8th inning when he hit that home run last night. He went 1 for 5 in the game. It was his 3rd long ball of the year. He's driven in 13. His batting average is .315. He's on a 5-game hitting streak. And whoa, that one hit the umpire right in the mask. What a way to start a game as Jerry Meals gets a fastball from Wood right in the mask.
Oh, that is not going to endear Sandy Martinez to Jerry Meals.
What a start. 1-0 the count. Biggio, of course, had the barrel of the bat right in front of Martinez, and evidently he just lost vision of the pitch. It's 2-0 now.
That gives you an idea of the life on Kerry Woods' fastball. You
Whoa.
go by the hitter, the catcher, the umpire, and the mask.
You talk about a wake-up call at 1:20 in the afternoon. Biggio takes a strike. It's 2-1.
Biggio trying to work the count here. The rap on Kerry Wood is that if he does struggle, it's with his command. Can work him for a few walks.
He was born in Irving, Texas. Biggio fouls it back. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Wood beat the Cardinals in his last outing 8-3 on the 30th of April with a fine game. 7 innings, 5 hits and 1 run. He walked 2 and fanned 9, squaring his record at 2-2 with that victory. Biggio didn't come close to getting around on that high heater. There's a strikeout for Wood to open the game.
Pretty impressive because Biggio's a good fastball hitter. The ball just explodes at home plate.
Biggio's the first out. Wood now moves on to Derek Bell. Bell is leading the league in hitting at .403. He's on a 5-game hitting streak, and he's 12 for his last 24 during that stretch. It's a good low fastball for strike 1 to Bell. Derek has gone deep 6 times. He's driven in 28 runs. Last night he had 1 hit, a key hit in the 7th inning to tie the game. Breaking ball, and it's 0-2. Well, that classic fastball breaking ball combination, he's already shown you what he has.
He does have a changeup, but I don't know how much he'll use it.
Bell fouls the fastball. No balls and 2 strikes. First Wrigley Field start was April 18th against the Dodgers for Kerry Wood. He beat them 8-1 for his first major league win. So he has pitched a couple of really outstanding games here in his home ballpark. Curveball strikes out Bell. Oh, he looks good.
Riding fastball, now the curveball.
At home 2-0, a 0.75 ERA. On the road 0-2, a 15.63 earned run average. Started the year at Iowa. He was purchased April 12th by the Cubs. He doesn't turn 21 until June 16th. Jeff Bagwell takes a strike. Sandy Martinez down in the splits to give that low target for Kerry Wood. This is only the 2nd start behind the plate for Martinez. Bagwell takes a high breaking ball. Jeff had a single and a walk last night. His batting average is .248 with 4 homers and 15 runs batted in. He started to move the bat on the breaking pitch. The appeal went to first. Terry Tata said no swing, 2-1. Bagwell now has gone 19 games without a homer, 66 at bats. Pretty good story about him yesterday in the Houston Chronicle. He thinks he's going to come around. Oh my goodness, it's 2-2. Look at the explosiveness of that fastball, Jim.
Yeah. Ball gets to home plate and just jumps. It's the way people used to talk about Nolan Ryan's heater. Not fair to compare this kid to Nolan, but just in terms of his stuff, he's got...
He has struck out the side. The Houston Astros must be very impressed with Texan Kerry Wood. Cubs come up 0-0. The Astros went out quickly, and there's a lot of breeze remaining from Kerry Woods striking out the side. Now the Chicago Cubs starting lineup, and it's brought to you by Southwest Airlines. It is Brant Brown in center field, Mickey Morandini, the second baseman, Sammy Sosa is the right fielder with Mark Grace, the cleanup man, at first base. Henry Rodriguez is the left fielder, Jeff Blauser the shortstop, Sandy Martinez the catcher, Kevin Orie at third base. Kerry Wood has really set the world on its ear with his first inning in this game. Brant Brown had a 3-run homer last night. He faces Shane Reynolds, who's 2-2 with a 4.33 ERA, coming off a good win in Philadelphia, Jim.
Yeah, he pitched good in the rain in Philadelphia. He's really struggled here at Wrigley Field.
0-1 with an 8.27 career ERA. He has 14 walks and 32 strikeouts in 43 2/3 innings. The 56 hits allowed, ranking him second in the league to his teammate Mike Hampton, who's allowed 58. The Astros have Clark, Alou, Bell in the outfield, Hal Gutierrez, Biggio, Bagwell, Reynolds, and Ausmus on the infield. Brant Brown gets it going for Chicago. There's ball one to Brown. He too is making quite an impact in the early days of '98, hitting .338 with 3 homers and 13 runs batted in. His 3-run homer last night, wind blown off Jose Lima. 1 ball, 1 strike. He was jokingly referring to that in the paper today. He said, well, it was smart hitting. Get the ball up in the breeze and let the breeze take it out. He fouls that back, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Shane showed us some different wrinkles last time out when he beat Matt Beach and the Phillies on Friday night, giving up 7 hits and 3 runs in 6 innings. Against the Cubs in his career, he's 5-3 with a 4.30 ERA. He was throwing some cut fastballs in that game. That one's in the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Seems he's picking up all kinds of tricks as he moves along in his career, Jim.
Well, sometimes you have to be creative out there, and apparently he was having a hard time with the grip on the forkball in the rain. So he threw more curveballs and more cutters.
Today it should not be a problem. Although there was a report of a fast-moving front approaching this afternoon. Swing and a miss. Brant Brown is down on strikes. It's interesting to contrast the 2 pitchers and the way they're working in this first inning.
At Kerry Wood, it's power. Hard fastball, biting curveball. With Shane, it's guile. Good location. Gets him in a count where he thinks he's going to get a fastball, and he throws him the forkball. Fools him completely.
Mickey Morandini is next. Morandini's hit .350 over his last 17 games. He tops that breaking ball for strike 1. Mickey came over with a good glove from Philadelphia. Is hitting .296, 2 homers, 19 runs batted in, giving quite a bit of offense. He had a 41-game errorless streak that was snapped in the series against the Cardinals. And that was his 8th errorless stretch of at least 30 games. Well, last night's game uncharacteristic for him with the errors. 1 ball and 1 strike to Morandini. Last year he had only 15 runs batted in at the All-Star break, and he already has 19. Strike makes it 1-2.
Nobody for the Phils did anything before the All-Star break last year.
Isn't that the truth?
The big cloud hanging over Philadelphia.
Yes, there was. And over Chicago for a while. He went around and struck out, and Morandini is glaring at the home plate umpire, Jerry Meals, for that call, and boy is he going after Jerry Meals. Meals is not going to tolerate too much more after getting that 94-mile-per-hour fastball on the mask on the first pitch of this game.
Boy, and Riggleman started to come out, and Jerry Meals, you could read his lips, he said, don't come out here.
Well, apparently Riggleman is smoothing over whatever he said.
Probably said, just ask for help instead of ringing him up right away.
So it's a little tense here. We've had nothing but strikeouts in this game. 5 of them so far. The hitters are on edge. Sammy Sosa on a 12-game hitting streak. Checks in at .352 with 7 homers and 20 runs batted in. Fastball moves in for strike 1.
Let's have a pool, Browning. The first player to put the ball in play.
All right. Let's see. Well, Sosa strikes out a lot, of course, but with that .352 average, he could put the ball in play. Might be the second inning, though. No balls and 2 strikes. Wow, did you see the movement on that pitch from Shane?
I like Jack Howell right about now. Yeah, this is fun to watch.
This is great action.
Yeah, that's a fork ball. Good down action, a lot off it.
Sosa's hit .435 during his 12-game hitting streak. Now he backs away. Sammy making much better contact this year. He's 5th in the league in hits. Batting in front of Mark Grace seems to agree with him.
Sammy's one of those guys, once you're ahead of him like this, you really feel like you should strike him out.
That was good movement there, but the pitch just off the plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
I think it would be worth a shot way upstairs, about letter high or above it, or bounce the fork ball in the dirt.
In the past, he has been prone to chasing those high heaters with 2 strikes in the count. Whoa, he looked bad. And Shane follows suit. So he, like Kerry Woods, strikes out the side, and it's 0-0 after 1.
Back at Wrigley, pitchers 6, batters nothing. Sales representatives are ready to take your order for Fuller mini season ticket options now. Call now. Find the plan for you, 713-799-9567.
Jack Howell is going to try to become the first man to make contact in this game. His batting average .250, no homers, and 3 runs batted in for Jack. There's the high heater from Kerry Wood. He checked his swing on appeal to Wally Bell at 3rd. And there's ball 1 to Jack Howell. Jack getting the 2nd start of the year for him at 3rd base. Those are the numbers for him. For not very many at bats this year. He fouls it back. 1 ball and 1 strike. Jack has had 16 at bats with 4 hits. He's done well pinch hitting. 3 for 10, 3 runs batted in. When he was with the Padres, he was a .235 hitter against the Chicago Cubs. That is flashing back several years. Fouls back the good low heat, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Howell to be followed by Alou and Clark.
Jack Howell likes to get the head out of the bat. He can pull just about anybody's fastball, but that gives you an indication of how hard Kerry Wood throws. Jack's been behind him.
That young lady made a play up there. So there's an early souvenir. Woo. There is 4 straight strikeouts for Kerry Wood to open this game.
This is amazing. He's just reaching back and letting it fly.
Jack Howell is number 4 for Wood. Moises Alou was hitless last night. He was 0 for 4 with a walk, but he scored a couple of runs, and he was robbed on a line drive into the ivy by Henry Rodriguez in left field. First time up last night. There's strike 1 on a breaking pitch. Moises is 9th in the league in slugging, and he and Derek Bell are tied for the Astros lead in runs batted in. And he went 0-2.
So you have to be aware of that heater, so you got to get it started early. We're going to see a lot of those today where hitters are trying to check the swing on the breaking ball.
Breaking pitch outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Kerry Wood graduated from Grand Prairie, Texas High School in '95. He was a high school All-America and the Texas 5A Player of the Year. Whoa, then he comes up and in for his 5th consecutive strikeout. Wow.
This is incredible stuff. He's hitting his spots too. You see Martinez showing, flashing the glove up. He wants it upstairs. And that's one of the few times this year we've seen Moises Alou get beat by a fastball.
Dave Clark is going to try to make some contact here. 125 his average. Former Chicago Cub coming around again to the starting lineup, taking ball 1 on a breaking pitch. With Alou playing center, Clark gets the slot in left for this game. Hit in the air to center. Brant Brown is waiting for it. 6 consecutive outs for Kerry Wood, but Clark hit the ball in play. 0-0. Well, we're looking at the flags out there. There's a banner, Go Cubs, Purdue. It's a 0-0 game. Wind doesn't seem to be doing much right now. Last night it was blowing out. Well, it's a TV class of '98 at Purdue. Well, they're playing hooky today.
I took that course in college.
Yeah,
Watch
right.
Hogan's Heroes and MASH every day. In the dorm room. It's a pretty nice way to go.
Yeah, those flags aren't showing much of an effect of the wind right now. But there's a breeze around home plate. Kerry Wood has fanned 5. Shane Reynolds struck out the first 3 to face him. Now Mark Grace faces him. .316 his average. No homers and 14 runs batted in. He's on a 9-game hitting streak, hitting .400 during that stretch. Ground ball to third. Back. Oh, it's by Jack Howell into left field. He tried to backhand it. Now Grace is going to second. Here's Clark's throw to Biggio. He throws it away. It gets by Bagwell. And Grace will wind up on third base. It's a hit and an error.
Once Jack started backpedaling on that ball, you could see he was in trouble. Heads up base running by Mark Grace. He's not very fleet of foot, but he's a smart base runner. Takes the extra base and then gets third base on the overthrow.
So the error goes to Clark, his first of the year. Runner at third, nobody out. The Astros keep the infielders back. Henry Rodriguez is the batter. That's ball 1 to the former Montreal Expo, who began his career in the Dodger organization. Rodriguez has 8 home runs, 20 runs batted in. He's hitting .240. Rodriguez was 0 for 3 last night. Nice stop by Osmus with the chest protector. But he had an effect in left field last night and really supported his pitching staff. Mark Clark on the mound. Alou sent one deep to the well in left. And it was robbed by Rodriguez, who slammed into the bricks. And then in the 6th inning, he went to left center on Bill Spires and took extra bases away from him with full extension.
Both those plays he made because he was playing so deep. Normal left field depth, he doesn't make either of those plays, but 2 fine ones by O. Henry.
He's been a nice addition to their club in the number 5 spot in the order. The count's 3-0. Fastball makes it 3-1 to Henry Rodriguez, who has not hit Shane well, with only 3 hits and 28 at bats against the Astros right-hander for his career. And he hasn't walked. Henry's the most aggressive hitter. Doesn't walk much at all. This year it's been different. He taps it foul. He's walked 20 times already and struck out on 26 occasions. It's been a major change for Henry Rodriguez. Last year he only had 42 walks all year long with 149 strikeouts. Jim Riggleman has seen a much more selective version of Rodriguez. Fly ball to center. Alou is back. It's a sac fly to give the Cubs a 1-0 lead. Mark Grace waltzes home. Rodriguez gets his 21st run batted in. The way Wood is pitching, 1 run could seem like about 10.
I was talking to Steve Stone between innings, and he said, don't look for Kerry Wood to slow down any in the late innings. He said, if anything, he might pick up a little steam.
Well, the challenge is on for the Astros. Jeff Blauser bats next. Blauser was 1 for 4 last night. Ball 1 on a breaking pitch to him. He's hitting .235 with 1 home run and 7 runs batted in. Ground ball on 1 hop. Jack Howell throws him out. 2 away. Sandy Martinez will bat next. Scott Service did the catching last night. Martinez and Tyler Houston, the other catchers on the Cubs. Martinez is 25 years old. He came from Toronto in a trade for Trevor Schaefer over the winter. He had just 2 at-bats for Toronto last year. Hit .224 at Syracuse. 2 for 6 with the Cubs. Ball one to Sandy Martinez. He's from the Dominican Republic. Two balls and no strikes. He's seen action in 3 games, but this is only his second start behind the plate. And his first start as a Cub, April 16th at New York, he went 2 for 3, including a double, a triple, and 2 walks. 3-0. First reached the majors in '95. He hit his first major league homer off Roger Clemens. That's ball 4 to Martinez. We talked about Clemens in reference to Kerry Wood and also Nolan Ryan. Boy, what we're seeing today indicates that the Kerry Wood era has begun, Jim.
Yeah, you know, it's really not fair to the kid to compare him to those guys because of all that they accomplished, but you certainly can compare the stuff.
Kevin Ory has sat out a few games so he could work on his stroke. He's been in a long slump. He's hitting only 185. That's strike one to Ory, who has 1 home run and 11 runs batted in. Rookie third baseman who had a good year last year, and the Cubs think that he'll add power as his career progresses. He only has 4 hits in his last 46 at bats. 1-1 to count to Ory. He had a good first 4 games, going 7 for 16. Billy Williams was talking about Ory around the batting cage last night, and he talked about an experience he had when he was a rookie, 1961, and benefited from sitting out 2 weeks. 1-2. Williams had a tremendous year for the Houston Buffs in 1960, and his rookie season with the Cubs was 61. There was a left fielder named Bob Wills who stepped in when he wasn't hitting well in the early portion of the season, and Williams watched Wills play for a couple weeks. After that, he was fine. He took over the job. Wills had a little bit of a neck problem, which gave Billy an entree to get back into the lineup, and he took it from there and went to the Hall of Fame. 2-2 to Ory.
Yeah, they've sat Ory down a couple days. Sometimes it takes pressure off the guy, get him out of the lineup, let him relax. They're hitting him down in the order here today.
Shane strikes him out. That's number 4, and he did a good job of pitching around a hit and an error, but it's 1 run on that 1 hit, 1 error, and a man left. After 2, Cubs lead it 1-0. Beautiful Wrigley Field in Chicago, the site of this day game. The Astros and the Cubs finishing up a very brief series. Homestand will continue with 4 more games for the Cubs against the San Francisco Giants. They're talking about taxing those establishments on the rooftops across the street because they sell those seats for $75 up there, and that includes some refreshments, and they're building even more. Now Ricky Gutierrez fouls it away, strike 1, as the Cubs lead it 1-0. 3rd inning just underway. Cubs got an unearned run with the help of the error by Dave Clark. Gutierrez has been sizzling. 352 his average, no homers and 9 runs batted in. He had 2 hits last night, 2 runs batted in. That fastball just kept moving, and it's 0-2 with a lot of that riding action on it from Kerry Wood. He is a challenge for any hitter right now. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
The challenge for the catcher right now to hold this guy.
He is, isn't he?
A fastball, it's kind of like a frisbee or a golf ball when it's hit on a line and gets that extra jump.
Yeah. And Ricky managed to foul off that pitch. Well, when you've got that combination of the riding fastball like Wood has, and then the sharp breaking downward curveball, sometimes fouling off a pitch can be pretty good for a hitter.
That was impressive right there that Ricky got to that ball.
Now ground ball and off the glove of Ory into left field. Gutierrez found that curveball much more to his liking. It was up a little bit, and he becomes the first Houston base runner and only the second to make contact.
Now this one hangs, stays inside. I'm going to rule it a hit.
I'm not sure he got his glove on it on that replay. It didn't appear that he did. At first I thought he had.
Yeah, I thought he did. I'm surprised it's not an error.
All right.
Especially in this ballpark with this kid pitching.
You're right, and the ball was slowly hit just to Ory's left. Brad Ausmus on a 5-game hitting streak had hits his last 2 times up last night. Single and a homer. He stole a base. is strike one to him. Here's how he went deep for the second time this year to give the Astros working room in the 8th inning on a 3-1 count.
Got a fastball to his liking and hammered it.
Maury Telemaco served it up. Ausmus taking the tour. He fouls this one away, and it's 0-2 to Brad, whose batting average has been on the rise. It's still low, 161. But he came up 18 points last night alone, going 2 for 3 with a walk. Mark Grace said of Kerry Wood, he couldn't think of anybody in his years here, and he's had 10, who came up with his talents and build-up. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Ausmus. He took the roster spot of the injured Bob Patterson, and he made his debut against the Expos. He left the game with the Expos ahead 2-0, a couple of runners on base. They later scored and were charged to him, and he lost the game. 2 balls and 2 strikes, but this is not just a flirtation. Jim Riggleman feels that Wood belongs here, and he's willing to accept a few bad days along with some great ones. Actually, the number 5 spot in the rotation was filled by Terry Mulholland for 1 start, and it was a good start for Mulholland. But then Wood arrived, and Mulholland's been in the bullpen ever since. Ausmus fouled away, and it's still 2 balls, 2 strikes. So they're probably kidding Mulholland out in that bullpen about that old Wally Pipp line,
yeah.
Jim.
Yeah, because I don't think you're going to be able to take the ball away from this kid for many years as long as he stays healthy.
Well, the pitching coach Phil Regan said Wood has got the kind of stuff that when he gets here, he's going to stay here. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Ausmus.
Weren't they trying to tinker with him a little bit in AAA, and Phil Regan said, no, let's get him to the big leagues so we can keep an eye on him?
Yes, sir. That's what he said. Now we'll see if the runner goes. Gutierrez on 3-2. He doesn't. Ausmus strikes out, throw behind the runner to first base. 6 strikeouts already for Wood. There's been 1 steal and 2 tries with Wood on the mound. It certainly is something that an opposing manager would think about with all this strikeout stuff he has.
Yeah, it's a tough situation because you know you're not going to string a bunch of hits together against him, so you're thinking about the stolen base. But he gets to buy the hitter so often, and the catcher Martinez has a real good arm, so it's a tough call.
Bunted by Shane Reynolds toward the first baseman Mark Grace. Shane gets the sacrifice, his 3rd of the year, to move Gutierrez to second. 2 outs.
You notice the number Kerry Wood is wearing?
34, Nolan Ryan's number. Wonder if he asked for that reason. We'll have to check into that. Maybe the Cubs just gave it to him and thought that
it fit.
Yeah, seems to fit so far. Greg Biggio struck out to open this game. He worked the count to 2-2. That would be one of his missions today, to try to get Wood to throw a lot of pitches. He did a good job against Kurt Schilling, forcing him to go deep into some counts. There's ball 1.
He's actually throwing 2 different kinds of breaking balls. One he gets on top of, has a good down action, and then he throws another one, looks a little bit more like a slider.
Now that's what they say he's added to his repertoire, the slider, to the fastball curve and change. A balk is called. Gutierrez drew a look from the pitcher Wood, and as he looked back, he must have moved his hands because Jerry Davis called a balk on him from second base.
Well, Ricky was dancing off second, and Blauser hinted that he might tuck in behind Ricky, and I think that maybe got Kerry Wood going a little bit. And there was a little flinch there. Not much.
No, there wasn't much movement at all, almost imperceptible, but umpires are trained to look for little things like that. Biggio takes a breaking pitch. It's 1-1. Well, any base you could get off a guy throwing as well as Wood is appreciated. If he bounces a curveball, Gutierrez could score on that. Biggio to shortstop. Blauser to retire the Astros in the third with no runs, a hit, and the runner stranded at third. It's 1-0 Cubs.
Middle of the third from Wrigley. Cubs 1, Astros nothing. Memorial Day, May 25th, is Reynolds Youth Baseball Day in Houston. Every youth baseball player in Houston who wears his or her uniform to that game that day can sit in the mezzanine, loge, or upper box, or upper reserve for that matter, for just $1. There's a Ute.
Yeah, he looks like a Rick Majerus type player. Here's the bottom of the third inning. Kerry Woods the batter. He already has a hit in the major leagues. Here's strike one to Wood. He was a .276 hitter in the minors. He's 1 for 7 in the majors with an RBI. And he got that hit in an outburst off Hideo Nomo when the Cubs got 8 runs in the first inning. That was the first Wrigley Field start by Wood. No balls and 2 strikes. He drove in a run and scored a run when he reached off Nomo.
He's so young. Hasn't learned how not to hit yet.
You're right. It's 1-2 to Kerry Wood. Shane gets a foul ball. Still a ball and 2 strikes. The original plan was to keep Wood in the minors for a few more months. But he just really knocked the Cubs out this spring. They had injuries to Kevin Foster and Bob Patterson, as we mentioned. Foster at some point fairly soon, a few weeks from now, might be ready to rejoin the pitching staff. The Cubs right now are carrying 12 pitchers, and they made a trade last night for Don Wengert of San Diego. Strike 3 call. Shane has 5 strikeouts. A tough day for him that now he's seen how much stuff Wood has. He's given up an unearned run and probably thinks he can't allow too much more the way things are going here, Jim, for a while anyway.
Yeah, that thinking definitely enters your mind when you're on the mound and you're facing a guy who's really got it going. And I'm sure Wood's thinking the same thing watching Shane Reynolds pitch, realizing that he's got to be at the top of his game to compete with Shane.
Good point. Brant Brown struck out in the first inning. Lance Johnson still out with an injury. Brown drops one down. Shane barehands throws, and it's in the dirt. He would have been safe anyway. Off the heel of Bagwell's first baseman's mitt, Brown, the leadoff man, bunts for a single.
Boy, nicely done. He had a good pitch too. Fastball moving away from him. Even a good throw doesn't get him.
You know, Brown continues to show that he can do little things like that. The Cubs may be forced to try to spot him a little bit more when Lance Johnson comes back, or trade him, one of the two. Mickey Morandini was caught looking in the first inning on a hotly contested strike 3. Now he's trying to lay one down, and there's strike 1 to Morandini. Morandini very good generally at doing those little things to move base runners and make contact, but that did not work for him in the first inning. Shane Reynolds, the opening day pitcher again this year, got a no decision against the Giants. Then he won his second start over Darryl Kyle and the Rockies. That pitch a ball, 1-1. He lost the next 2 starts to the Dodgers and Reds, then got 2 no decisions before cracking the win column again Friday night in Philadelphia. You talked about the rain in that game, Jim. It was a very, very strong, heavy rain throughout the evening. And Shane showed quite a bit of being able to last 6. Good pitch, makes it 1-2 to Morandini. Shane has worked 6 innings or more in 6 of his 7 starts, including his last 4 outings. But he has not had success in his career here at Wrigley. He throws to first, chasing Brown back. Shane had 1 start here in '97. That was a game that went 15 innings. He didn't get a decision. He was just back from the disabled list. Gave up 4 runs in 3 1/3 innings against Frank Castillo. He lost a 6-0 game here in '96 to Steve Traxel's 1-hitter. In that one, he allowed 5 runs in 5 innings. Back in '95, he got a no decision. The Astros won that one 9-8, but he allowed 6 earned runs in 5 1/3. So for his career, the numbers are pretty ugly for Shane in this ballpark. He strikes out Morandini. That is 6 strikeouts now for both pitchers, and we're in the 3rd inning.
Well, they call it the Windy City. It's like the forkball. We talk so much about setting hitters up and getting them in counts where they anticipate fastball, but Shane's forkball is so good. Even when hitters are conscious of it, aware of it, even looking for it, he can still beat them with it. Because even though they're thinking forkball, when they see it come out of his hand, it looks like a fastball.
Sammy Sosa looks at ball 1. He struck out in the 1st inning. Across the lake in Milwaukee, it's San Diego 1, Milwaukee nothing. Bottom of the 8th inning. Kevin Brown against Scott Carl, and a dandy there. Now Danny Maselli in for San Diego, and Bob Wickman has entered the game in the 8th inning for the Brewers. Brown back at first. Brown has 2 steals and 2 tries. The Astros are off tomorrow. Friday night, it's Mike Hampton, 5-0 against Jeff Juten, 4-1 in Milwaukee. We're on the air at 7 o'clock on KNWS Friday night with that fine matchup. Sosa takes. It's ball 2, 2-0. Saturday, also a 7 o'clock airtime. The Astros have not yet named their starting pitcher. It'll be Cal Eldred for the Brewers. He's 1-0 with a low ERA. And we don't have the Sunday pairings yet. Jose Mercedes just went on the disabled list for Milwaukee. And that would have been his turn to pitch on Sunday. Strike call. It's 2-1 to Sosa. Well, that Brewer starting staff has really caved the last 2 nights, Jim.
Yeah, they're at the top of the league in pitching. The last couple of nights, Padres clobbered them. 13 runs and 11 runs without Caminetti. Well, Mercedes went on the DL after his start. Apparently he was out there pitching while hurt.
Yeah, rotator cuff problems. Tossed to first base. Atlanta has a shutout going against the Dodgers. 6-0 top of the 7th for Greg Maddux. And Philadelphia is getting a shutout from Matt Beach over Colorado. 4-0 in the 4th. Broken bat into center field. Biggio out. Can't make the catch. Brant Brown comes to third base on the broken bat single, giving Sosa a career high 13 game hitting streak. Biggio almost got it.
Got in on his hands real well. Hit it right on the label. Sammy's so strong he's able to muscle it out there. Biggs just misses.
Just wondering why Brant Brown paused there. There were 2 outs. Biggio catches the ball, and the inning's over anyway. Now here's Mark Grace. Grace, as Sosa draws the throw, got on in the 2nd inning on an infield hit, and then he continued on to third on a throwing error by Dave Clark and scored on the Rodriguez sac fly. Now it's Brown at third, Sosa at first. Ball 1 to Grace. Grace has worn out Shane Reynolds. 1 more hit in this game off Shane. At the beginning of this game, he was a .391 career hitter against him with a homer and 6 runs batted in.
Well, the guys with the real quick hands who can stay back and not commit won't get fooled by the forkball as often as the other hitters. See how well he takes the pitch. Just by the way he takes it, he can take a longer look at it because of his quick hands.
Now 2-0 on Grace. If you're Shane Reynolds, you're trailing 1-0 in the 3rd inning. Would you rather not give in to him and face Rodriguez with the bases loaded here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would try to paint the corner with a fastball. If he's going to hit me, I'm going to make him hit a real good pitcher's pitch. I'm not going to throw him a fastball down the middle on 2-0 and hope for the best. I'm still going to try to make real good pitches, and if I lose them, then I'll go after Rodriguez.
throw to first. Sosa back. Sosa is a good base stealer. He has 8 steals in a dozen tries. He's fast. He doesn't always steal when the Cubs want him to, but he'll wind up with 30 in a good season or more.
He's their first ever 30-30 guy. 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases.
Bagwell's holding him. It's a 1-0 lead for the Cubs here in the third. Glad you could spend part of your afternoon with us here on 51 KNWS. In the dirt, nice stop by Ausmus. It's 3-0 now. Well, it really helps to have an Ausmus behind the plate. You hope that Grace might be able to chase one of those pitches, but if not, the runner is not able to score from third anyway. Now he's hitting .417, including his hit in this game against Shane, and the count is 3-0. So you can't like your chances there if you're Shane. And he walks it. Pretty good discretion, you'd have to say, Jim, under the circumstances.
Yeah, I think he just decided, and that's not to say that Henry Rodriguez can't hurt you, but I think he felt, because of the nature of this game and the way Kerry Wood is pitching, that he doesn't want to give up that run on third, and he's got a better chance of preventing that one run by pitching to Rodriguez as opposed to Grace.
Now Rodriguez has the bases loaded here, 2 outs. Rodriguez drove in the first run with a sac fly to center. As we mentioned, in his career, he is 3 for 28 against this Astros right-hander. He chases, and there's strike one.
Everything you do in baseball has a risk involved, and the risk here, obviously, in pitching Grace, walking Grace, is that you're susceptible to the big inning now if you make a mistake and Henry takes it deep or gets an extra base hit.
250 with the bases loaded, not particularly spectacular at all. But he does have a lot of power. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hit 7 home runs in the Cubs' first 18 games this year. Well, he had quite an O. Henry return to Montreal. He had a 5 for 5 day with 3 RBIs in that ball game. He's late on the fastball, and it's 1-2 to Rodriguez. He whiffs a lot. Last year, 149 times.
And he was looking for an off-speed pitch there, wasn't he?
He was.
He really got fooled by the fastball.
Brown, Sosa, and Grace all on here in the third. Strike 3 on a fastball, and Shane gets his 7th of the ball game. No runs, 2 hits, 3 left for the Cubs. 1-0 Chicago after 3. One nothing ball game with the Cubs in the lead on an unearned run they got in the second inning with Henry Rodriguez hitting a fly ball to center. Here's our trivia question brought to you by your Houston area Ford dealers. Of the 67 players in Major League Baseball history named Williams, who had the most hits? Are you going to say Billy or are you going to say Ted? Well, let's see. Now they're trying to fool us, aren't they? Because Billy Williams is here in the ballpark, obviously. I'll go with Ted. Now, Ted lost about 4 good years to military service, or maybe 5. So he wasn't a 3,000 hit man. Here's Derek Bell taking ball 1. Bell struck out in the first inning. You like Billy for that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think Billy may be the answer. The more I think about it, but I've already gone with Ted, so I'm staying with it. 1 ball and 1 strike to Bell. Now, if you go with Billy, then one of us will be right.
Oh, I see what you're trying to split the vote.
So we can claim it as a team.
So
it's teamwork,
a Booth victory if one of us gets it right.
That's right. It's a blanket Booth victory. Bell lifts it foul out of play. But you don't have to if you don't want.
I'm trying to think of some obscure Williams.
Oh, okay. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
There can't be any other option. All right, you took Ted.
All right.
All right, so I'll say Billy.
Okay, we'll see who's right. I think you're right.
I think you're right. No, there's no way we're going to go down on this.
1-2 to Derek Bell. Breaking pitch outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. We understand that Wood has not been necessarily on a strict pitch count of 100, but that's about the amount of pitches he's thrown in his previous Cubs starts this year. Bell puts one in the air to right field. Sosa over near the line. There's 1 out for Wood. He's given up just the single to Gutierrez. All right, here is our answer. Much anticipated. Billy Williams, 2,711. He had 57 more than Ted Williams. That's a good question Jim Summers came up with.
That is a great question.
There is the number of Billy Williams, number 26. He is the dugout coach of the Cubs. Jeff Bagwell was caught looking first time. Fouls back the fastball. Strike 1.
And another great question would be, who's third place on the all-time Williams hit list?
Yeah, that would be a great one, wouldn't it? Since we are racking our brains trying to come up with other Williamses who had 2,000 hits or more. You could have your all Williams team. Do you realize that?
William the first.
And now you're going to ruin your day off filling out that ball club. 1 ball, 1 strike. Whoa, Kerry Wood with that fastball up and into Bagwell. And that is a weapon, isn't it?
Sure is. You saw Sandy Martinez drop his elbow down to show Kerry Wood. You got to make sure you stay on top. Gets that elbow drop down a little bit, that ball take off and run on him.
Bagwell takes, it's ball 3. He had a bit of a problem when he hit Raul Mondesi of the Dodgers. Mondesi thought that Wood was throwing at him. He had thrown one under the chin of Eric Young earlier in that game. Bagwell takes a curve. It's 3-2, but when you're as wild as Wood has been and have the explosive stuff, that is going to happen every now and then.
How about that? A 3-1 slider to Bagwell.
Yeah. And another one, strike 3. 7 strikeouts. No argument from Jeff.
And that's one of those tip your hat strikeouts. You have to be thinking fastball. This kid's 20 years old. He's been in the big leagues for all of 4 starts. He's not supposed to be able to do that to you. Drop a 3-2 slider on you for called strike 3. Can't be looking for it. No way.
No. Jack Howell whiffed in the 2nd inning on a 1-2 count. 2 outs now in the 4th. There's strike 1 to Jack. Kerry Woods' season debut was for the Iowa Cubs against Nashville April 7th. He won that one and had 11 strikeouts in 5 scoreless innings. Obviously those hitters at AAA were overmatched.
He's got the kind of stuff when he's on, he's going to overmatch hitters at any level. What you hope to do is get him when he's not on his game, draw some walks, pick up a couple clutch hits, maybe run the bases a little bit.
Well, his first year as a pro was 96. He was at Daytona, had 136 strikeouts in 114 innings. Oh, 2-2, and he has some DL time that year with a sore elbow. Last year, he divided the year between Orlando and Iowa. He had 10 starts at Iowa, so he's had a total of 11 AAA starts, and so far no walks in this game and 7 strikeouts. That's number 8. In the middle of the 4th inning, the Cubs lead it 1-0. Cubs lead at 1-0 here at Wrigley Field in Chicago. And yeah, somebody's wearing shorts today. Cubs got an unearned run. We'll take a look now back at what has happened on this date in Astros baseball history. Brought to you by Sonic. May 4th, 1969, the Astros set a National League record with 7 double plays against the San Francisco Giants. In the 4th inning here, it's Jeff Blauser. Blauser grounded out in the 2nd. Ground ball to Jack Howell at third base for Jeff Blauser. That one almost hit him from Shane Reynolds, ball 1. You know who the first baseman was that day for the Astros when they turned those 7 double plays?
Bob Watson?
Kurt Blefary. Pitch was outside. 2 balls and no strikes. He didn't play very long for Houston. He came from Baltimore in the Mike Cuellar deal, which was a disastrous deal for the Houston club. That's by Jack Howell up the left field line for extra bases. Dave Clark has to chase it down into the Cub bullpen area. An easy double for Blauser, his 4th of the year. Blauser has had a low slugging percentage of .314. This will help a little bit.
Yeah, he's normally one of the better slugging shortstops. A lot of extra base hits. Here's a fastball over the middle, pulls it right down the line.
The Cubs leading 1-0, get their first hitter of the 4th inning to second base. Sandy Martinez follows. Martinez walked on 4 pitches in the 2nd. Now he backs away from the plate.
How did you know that Kurt Bluffery was the first baseman?
Just happened to remember that from the fact that there were 7 double plays, and that was a major league record. He was involved, I think, in just about every one of them, Jim. And he was normally an outfielder, so it was a rarity that he played first base. Sandy Martinez had 422 major league at bats prior to this year. He's showing bunt, taking ball 1. Ori's on deck. Cubs have a lot of games at home in the first half of the season. They've just begun a stretch in which they have 33 out of 50 here in the friendly confines. That means they will be a traveling club in the second half of the year. But they don't play that often within the division in the first half. Fly ball right field, Derek Bell. Blauser will tag at second. Bell will fire into third, and Blauser will hold with that 1-hop throw to Jack Howell. Martinez fails to advance the runner. That's the first out, and Kevin Ori will be next. Bell was able to get behind that ball, and Blauser seemed to know all along that that wasn't going to be a good move to try to move over, but he was hoping to draw a bad throw that might have eluded Jack Howell. Wind is blowing in slightly from right field, almost negligible. Ori struck out to end the second inning. He's been doing some extra work with the hitting instructor, Jeff Pentland. Even came in on the off day to do extra hitting. He grounds that one foul, strike 1, and Jeff Blauser was here as well at Wrigley Field. In fact, they didn't have anybody to shag balls. And you know those people they have out across the street, across Waveland and Sheffield, who are always waiting out there for home run balls. One of those guys happened to be hanging around the park on the off day Monday, and they asked him to come in and shag for them. That was a nice little treat for that fan.
Probably showed up thinking there was going to be a ball game that day.
Yeah.
Why would you come to catch home run balls on a day off?
I have no idea. Yeah, this is such a baseball shrine. Maybe people just feel they have to come here every day. 1 ball and 1 strike to Ori.
Kind of like you guys did. You and Dirk went up to the Field of Dreams.
We did.
2 years back
in Iowa. Unfortunately, we picked a time in May when the corn was not yet growing, so we do not recommend that. You have to have corn. 1 ball and 2 strikes. That's in Dyersville, Iowa, and it is not close to any major city. So when planning a trip to Dyersville, make sure it's in June or later. Otherwise, you will be out in the middle of a non-fertile cornfield looking at a baseball diamond.
So what do they have there?
They just have a little concession stand area where you can buy some T-shirts and mugs and the ball diamond. That's about it. Strike 3 call. Ori is caught looking. Shane has 8 strikeouts.
Well, that was a great pitch.
It was, wasn't it?
Sure was. Looked like Ori was protecting against an off-speed pitch. You see Brad sitting on the outside corner, and Shane just paints the outside part of the plate. Boom.
How could you make a better pitch than that, Brad? Set up, he hit the target. Had some movement on it. Ori apparently thought it would be outside.
That was a borderline pitch. But when you're behind in the count like that, it's a pitch you probably have to at least try to foul off.
Kerry Wood with a big cut. Strike one. He was caught looking. He has gained 20 pounds since he signed with the Cubs in '95. You know, there were 9 Texas high school pitchers who were first-round picks between 1980 and 1990, and none of those has really gone on to become what you would term a quality major league pitcher. So Wood is trying to go against the grain recently. Ground ball, Bagwell, and to Shane Reynolds. Nice play by Jeff to back up and get the hop. And the leadoff double is wasted by the Cubs. No runs a hit. Blauser stranded at second. It's 1-0 Chicago after 4.
Top of the 5th upcoming. Cubs 1, Astros no score. Every Thursday night home game this year is a half price Thursday at the Dome. Groups of 24 or more can book an outing, sit in the mezzanine, loge, or upper box areas at half price. Upcoming games on Thursday include appearances by Mark McGuire, Frank Thomas. That man will be there.
What? What is that contraption?
He's out of control.
That's great, isn't it? Mark McGuire and Frank Thomas are both going to be in on Thursday nights.
Yeah. So tape Seinfeld and come on out to the Dome.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that. Nancy, that'll be.
Yeah, and we're going to blow the ending for everybody anyway,
Yeah.
so they're not going to want to watch it.
That's true. By the time of this road trip ending on Sunday, you'll already know the outcome. So you'll be able to come to the ball game. Moises Alou struck out in the second inning. One of 8 strikeouts for Kerry Wood. There's strike one for Wood. He leads at 1-0 here in the 5th.
He's almost unhittable when he can throw that breaking pitch over like that.
And then the fastball follows up, and he hits the spot of the outside corner for an 0-2 count. This guy could be Rookie of the Year. Add him to the list. Strike 3. 9 strikeouts for Wood. That's 3 in a row.
At least not today. He's not this raw kid who's just firing it up there. I mean, he's got a clue. He's throwing his breaking ball for strikes. He's hitting his spots with his fastball. I mean, this Astros lineup is one of the best in the game, and he's just buzzing through them right now.
Alou is whiffed twice. Now Dave Clark will try for the second time. He made contact in the second inning. Fly ball to center field. There's the big hook for strike one. 4 of the 9 strikeouts have been called for Kerry Wood. They're hanging K's out there. Wow. 0-2. This kid is phenomenal, isn't he? He's 20 years old.
I was 20. I was in college, Brownie.
Yeah.
Trying to scrape up money to get a pizza.
Wow.
Look at this guy.
That's 10 strikeouts. 5 of them called.
Wasting no time. This is back-to-back-to-back curveballs. No chance.
Ricky Gutierrez has the only hit, and he got that hit off a curveball in the 3rd inning. Fastball foul back, strike 1. Wood may be challenging him more here. No walks to go with the 10 strikeouts for Kerry Wood. Apparently he's just going to go raw heat after seeing Ricky hit his curveball for a ground ball single first time up. 1 ball and 1 strike. And another fastball. 1-2. The 10 strikeouts is a high. Struck out 9 against the Cardinals in 7 innings in his last start. Fouls it back. Still a ball and 2 strikes. In the minors, he was 21-11. He had 340 strikeouts in 278 innings. Averaging 11 per 9 innings. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And opposing batters hit 179 off him in the minor leagues.
He's got a nice, easy delivery.
Strike 3. Struck out the side for the second time today. That's 5 consecutive strikeouts. 11 for the game. 6 of them called third strikes. The Cubs lead it behind Kerry Wood, a buzzsaw. It's 1-0. There's a special buzz in the air around Wrigley Field today, with Kerry Wood having 11 strikeouts in the first 5 innings. He has set down the last 9. The only hit off him was a ground ball just to the left of the third baseman that sneaked into left field. Kerry Wood is an amazing young pitcher at age 20, the youngest in the major leagues. And now it is Brant Brown here in the home 5th inning. He bunted in the 3rd for a hit. He's 1 for 2. Shane Reynolds has a big challenge staring him in the face today to try to keep this game close. Here's strike 1 to Brown. And Shane opposed Sean Estes of the Giants on opening night. And then he went against Darryl Kyle. But today's opponent, as formidable as they come, it would appear. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's ironic. Quite often we talk about a guy who's in Shane's shoes, the #1 starter, and the top caliber opponents he will face as pitchers. Line drive hit into center field. Brant Brown, who bunted earlier, this time swings away and hangs out a rope to center.
And typically in a game like this, as you see the opposing pitcher continue to dominate and it doesn't look like you're going to break through, then the pressure really starts to mount. You really do become convinced, as we see Brant pick on that, looked like a forkball that hung upstairs for him. But the pressure gets turned up a notch on Shane, because with every inning he's thinking, man, I don't know if we're going to get to this guy. I can't afford to give up another run.
Morandini has struck out both times. Strike 1 to Mickey Morandini. But in reviewing Shane's starts so far this year, and he lost to Ramon Martinez in L.A., Martinez pitched a fine game. Brett Tomko, young right-hander with the Reds, pitched really well, handing Shane and the Astros a 4-1 setback. And then today's opponent, another young right-hander. Overpowering game so far, 0-2. So here we talk about the Shane Reynolds. You're worried about the fact that he's going to face Ramon Martinez and Greg Maddux and the real bright lights who have been on the mound for many years in the National League, and yet it's the unforeseen, the Kerry Woods, that can come along and really open some eyes. Speaking of Maddux, Atlanta and Maddux shut out Los Angeles 7-0. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Morandini.
Well, I would recommend all the rotisserie geeks out there to take a flyer on Kerry Wood.
Make a very quick acquisition tonight if you can still claim him. Double play depth on the Houston infield. Morandini takes one just off the plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Mickey.
Pretty good pitch by Shane. Jerry Meals has been aggressive. He's kind of gotten into the flow of this game, and that happens when you've got 2 pitchers that are pitching so well. The strike zone usually gets a little bigger. I'm surprised that wasn't called a strike.
It's 3-2 now with Brant Brown on at first and nobody out. Morandini has not made contact in this game, so will the Cubs send Brant Brown? That's the question at the moment. Another run could really be big for them.
I'd send him, because I think if he gets a fastball, he'll make contact. If he gets a forkball, he might swing and miss, but that's a chance to steal a base on the forkball down.
Shane checks him with a throw. The Astros have allowed only 6 stolen bases in 17 tries this year. Sammy Sosa's on deck. Sosa stole a base last night. Brown's going. Bouncer back to Shane. He gets it to Ricky Gutierrez, and then it's easily a double play. But it was that lead runner, Brown, that required the quickness on the part of Shane. Well, it was a comebacker, but he still had very little time to get the throw on to Gutierrez to get Morandini, Jim.
The same thing happened in last night's game with Jose Lima. The runner was going, and he got the ball late at second base, although there was some dispute in that. Here Shane really quickly, and Ricky does a nice job getting out of the way of Brant Brown so he can turn the double play. Very nicely done.
Good double play, and the Astros have turned 34 now this year. Sammy Sosa singled in the third inning. He's 1 for 2. Ball 1 to Sosa, who earlier extended his hitting streak to 13 games. That's not really all that long a hitting streak for a guy who's been around the major leagues as often as Sosa has. So an indication that maybe he is a more disciplined player this year. Fouls it away. It's 1-1 to Sammy Sosa.
I really think he's benefiting a lot from Mark Grace hitting behind him.
You know, when they first announced they were planning to do that, a lot of baseball fans just kind of shook their heads over it, but it appears to be working very well. Sosa has much more power than Grace, and a lot of folks figured that that was the opposite way to go about things. But they had tried it the other way, and you know, Mark Grace would drive in a fair number of runs, not as many as Sosa. This could really help Sosa if the leadoff man, in this case Brant Brown, is on base a lot, and Morandini has a good year in front of him as well.
It gets Sosa more strikes to hit.
He strikes out, and Shane continues to have a high strikeout game himself. That's his 9th. After 5, it's 1-0 Cubs. If you're just joining us, the Cubs lead at 1-0 on an unearned run in the second inning, and the story of the game has been Kerry Wood with 11 strikeouts. Here they are. Strikeouts for Kerry Wood. Brad Ausmus is the batter. The 6th inning is underway. The count is 1-1 to Brad. He swung at the first pitch, took the second one. Brad struck out in the 3rd inning in that montage of Ks by Mr. Wood. Fastball is called a strike, and it's 1-2. Shane Reynolds will follow. Craig Biggio due up 3rd in the inning. If Ausmus can reach, Reynolds would have a chance to bunt him over. Wood throws the breaking ball outside. That's the slider, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Ron Santo just poked his head in the door and said this is the most impressive Wood has been with the Cubs this year. Better command today. Ausmus to Morandini. A guy like Morandini could almost go to sleep. That's the second opportunity he's had. The other one was just catching a throw on a bunt.
Yeah, a lot of K's on the scorebook, a couple of fly balls, a couple of ground balls, and that's it.
Boy. Now Shane Reynolds did a good job of getting that bunt down in the 3rd after Gutierrez got the only hit for the Astros. Ricky advanced as far as 3rd on a balk. It's strike 1. The Astros as a team very high in strikeouts. Only 2 clubs have struck out more in the National League. 0-2, but they're also 2nd in the league in drawing walks, and Wood has just been throwing so many strikes today they haven't had a chance to work those walks and get anything going on the bases. It's another one, number 12. 9 of them, or 7 of them rather, have been called 3rd strikes. This is a most impressive coming out party for Kerry Wood today. Now they're passing along K's, and they might be running a little short pretty soon. You know what we were talking about between innings is the fact that this ballpark is going to be filled when he pitches around here if he keeps going like this.
It's going to be like Fernando Mania when Valenzuela first came up, or Mark Fidrich. I mean, people are really going to get excited about this kid. He's 20 years old. Apparently he has a great personality. Everybody around here likes him. When he was warming up, there was a group in the bleachers chanting "Kerry, Kerry."
Greg Biggio grounded out in the third inning. Swings over a curveball. There's strike one. 11 in a row been set down by Wood.
They lost to Harry, but they've gained to Kerry. It's the curveball.
Bill Regan, his pitching coach, says he doesn't think it matters about Kerry's age as far as his major league effectiveness. 0-2. Regan was with the Dodgers when Don Sutton came up with them, and he was 21. Sutton will be going into the Hall of Fame this year. Regan says if you can pitch, I don't think it matters how old you are. Some guys aren't going to pitch like Wood when they're 30 or ever. Youngest player in the majors, a little bit younger than Mike Caruso, the shortstop of the White Sox. 3 weeks younger. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
He tried to throw that one through that brick wall back there behind home plate. Reached back and overthrew it. But it doesn't matter when you're this good, when you have this kind of ability. You can come to the big leagues and pitch. If you're a young guy who's more of a finesse pitcher, then you're probably a little bit more careful. You want to make sure his game is completely polished before he comes up. But this guy can still get you out even when he's not on his game.
He hits Biggio with the curveball. Hit him in the left arm. That one got away from Wood, one of the very few that has today. Trainer Rex Jones is out.
The ball just slipped out of his hand, trying to overthrow it perhaps a little bit, trying to throw a great curveball, going for the strikeout, squirted out of his hand. Maybe up in the tricep area.
Looked like it got him on the point of the elbow on that replay. And that, of course, is where it inflicts a lot of pain. Biggio is the 3rd hit batsman of the year by Wood. Craig hasn't been taking as many of those this year as he has the last few seasons, fortunately. That's the 3rd time he's been hit this season. Here's Derek Bell, 0 for 2. But at least the Astros interrupt the string of 11 in a row retired by Wood. Bell lifts a pop-up. Mark Grace is there. No runs, no hits, a man left for Houston in the middle of the 6th inning. It's 1-0 Cubbies.
Welcome back. Bottom of the 6th. Cubs 1, Astros nothing. Great pitching duel here today. Saturday, May 23rd, the Astros play the Padres. And there's a Coca-Cola Youth Clinic that day from 4 to 5 p.m. Come down to the Astrodome Field, learn from Astros players. The first 1,000 kids will get an Astros souvenir. It's all free with a ticket to the Astros Padres game that night.
Big homestand coming up. And we hope to see you there starting Monday night with the Florida Marlins for 2, followed by the Pirates for 2, then the Braves for 4. It's getting dark out there and a little hazy over Wrigley Field as Mark Grace bats in the 6th inning. Grace has been on both times with a hit and a walk. He has scored the only run in this game. Shane gets him to commit. There's strike 1 on Mark Grace as he tries to retire him. And open this 6th inning with an out. Rodriguez and Blauser to follow for Shane Reynolds, who's hanging tough today. He has struck out 9 so far. He's been overshadowed. 0-2. He really shouldn't be because the run he allowed was unearned.
Yeah. It's just, Wood, because of his overpowering stuff, is maybe a little bit more exciting. But in terms of the quality of the game that he's pitching, Shane has matched him. Really pitching a beautiful ball game.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Grace. Grace drove in 78 runners last year while hitting .319. Ground ball. Biggio far to his left. Makes a pickup. Whirls around and gets him. He really covered some real estate. Biggio reaching out onto the grass, and he had to fully extend to flag down that grounder from Grace.
Well, last night we said bad pitching begets bad fielding and vice versa. Here it's well pitched game, and this is a play deserving of the effort from the pitchers today. Great play by Biggio.
And he really got moving quickly on that one.
Everybody's on their toes, in a well pitched game like this. Everybody's up. Game has a little bit more intensity, it seems.
Henry Rodriguez has the only RBI in this game on a sac fly. Strike one to Rodriguez. He was caught looking in the third with the bases loaded. Ball one. 1 ball and 1 strike. Rodriguez really put things together beginning in '96 with Montreal. And that year he hit 6 home runs against Houston alone. 2 balls and a strike. Had been only a marginal player in the big leagues with the Dodgers before he was traded. And that was the Roberto Kelly, Joey Eischen deal. Those 2 players went to LA for Jeff Treadway and Rodriguez. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The O. Henry bars became popular in Montreal. When he would connect for a home run, they sprinkled those bars all over the playing field. Haven't heard about that trend happening here in Chicago yet. He chases one and goes down on strikes. That's number 10 for Shane, whose high in a big league game is a dozen. He's done that 3 times.
You've shown him enough fastballs to get him thinking that way. Now he throws the forkball and he's completely fooled. You see his body's gone, the back leg is gone.
Two walks and 10 strikeouts for Shane Reynolds. So there have been a total of 22 strikeouts in this game. Jeff Blauser gets one to center field, drops it in front of Moises Alou for a single. He's 2 for 3.
I wonder what the record for strikeouts in a 9-inning game, 2 pitchers is.
Combined? That's a good question. Blauser is a 2-out base runner for Sandy Martinez. Martinez walked in the second, flied to right in the fourth. That was an important out for Shane because there had been a leadoff double by Blauser, and he never advanced to third in that inning. Strike one. You might say it's more of an artistic game for Shane Reynolds than it is for Kerry Wood. Wood has struck out 12. He's only had 2 base runners. Shane had to work around that leadoff double in the fourth. He had the bases loaded in the third. Got a double play ball in the fifth. 1-1. Cubs are 4 games behind the Astros. The Astros 20-11 record equals their best ever record after 31 games. They were 20-11 in 73. Line drive to Jack Howell, and he comes up with it for the 3rd out. That's the 6th inning. No runs a hit, and a man left for the Cubs. Cubs in front, 1-0. Right in the midst of this 1-0 ball game. Very impressive game for Chicago's Kerry Wood and Houston's Shane Reynolds. The rain is moving in. That's the last thing we need for a pitcher's duel, Jim DeShays.
Yeah, it's raining pretty hard out there right now, Brownie. This has been a treat to watch. Those Kerry Wood kid is really something, and Shane Reynolds is matching and pitching very well himself.
Very rarely do you witness a game like this from a youngster who's 20 years old. Kerry Wood now goes against Jeff Bagwell in the 7th inning. Houston trails it and has only 1 hit. And the fastball is away. There's ball 1 to Bagwell. Bagwell hasn't managed to make contact in this game. He's been caught looking twice. Wood really worked him over with breaking stuff last time. 1 ball and 1 strike. Jeff leading off the inning to be followed by Howell and Alou against the young right-hander who's just been mowing down the Astros. Fastball comes in to make it 1-2. Wood is due up second in the bottom of the inning. The scoreboard is 2-1. Is that correct? Breaking ball, yeah. 2-2 now. And you see Jeff getting wet as this rain has suddenly moved in. Fastball makes it a 3-2 count now. Kerry Wood had retired 11 in a row before he hit Biggio in the last inning. Then he came right back to get Bell on a foul pop. He whiffs Bagwell for the third time. That's 13.
Last time he got him with a slider, 3-2. This time the riding fastball. I know all the scientists says the ball doesn't rise, but that one sure looked like it did.
Yeah, it has a hop to it. Jack Howell has struck out both times. Ball 1 to Jack. No bullpen action for the Cubs. Wood, as that one slips, apparently goes to 2-0 in the count. Ricky Gutierrez led off the third inning with a single just out of the reach of Kevin Ory. That's been the only Houston hit, and there have been just 2 base runners. 3-0 though to Howell, and that's been rare today for Wood.
Looks like he's rushing it a little bit right now. Front side flying open, leaves that ball up.
3-1.
That's where he's been all day right there. Nice compact motion.
Well, you can't go for cover. You just have to get the umbrella out. You have to stay in a ball game like this with this overpowering performance. Did he check his swing? Yes, he did.
Home plate umpire got him.
Oh, they never did appeal to third. Wally Bell was never asked. It was Jerry Meals who said strike 2.
He called this on Mickey Morandini at the beginning of the game.
3-2 now, and struck him out. 14 Ks.
3, 4, 5 guys in the order. 8 at bats, 8 punch outs coming in this at bat for Moises.
Moises Alou drying off his bat. Struck out swinging in the second. Caught looking in the fifth. Target way outside. Strike 1. Wood struck out the side in the first. He fanned the first 5 batters in the game. And he struck out the side in the fifth, and that was another string of 5. 0-2 to Alou. Kerry Wood has the fans chanting Kerry now. 1 ball and 2 strikes. This game is not yet 2 hours old, and it's already in the 7th inning. Alou tried to check. They ring him up on appeal to Terry Tata at first. That's 15 strikeouts. The third time he has struck out the side in this game. In the middle of the 7th, as the fans take their stretch, it's 1-0 Cubs. Now our Southwestern Bell Around the League scoreboard will tell you what's been happening in the National League on this day. It was the Brewers 3 and the Padres 2. Rockies and Phillies tied 5-5 in the 8th inning. The Braves got a shutout from Greg Maddux over the Dodgers 7-0. The Reds and Expos, Remlinger versus Vasquez in that matchup. Giants and Marlins, Cardinals, Pirates, Diamondbacks, and Mets all coming up later. It is raining here and getting very dark. Shane Reynolds getting set to work the bottom of the 7th inning to the Chicago Cubs, who have a 1-0 lead on an unearned run in the 2nd inning. Mark Gray's single continued to third on an error by Dave Clark and scored on a sac fly by Henry Rodriguez. Kevin Ory's the batter. Kerry Wood due to bat second here in the home 7th inning. No bullpen activity for the Cubs. Wood has struck out 15 to tie a Cubs rookie record for one game. Ori is swift twice. He was showing butt, and there's strike one. Most interesting day, Jim DeShays.
What a performance by Wood and a great job by Reynolds. Kerry Wood will be no Bobo Holloman.
That's right.
On this day in baseball history, Bobo made his major league debut and threw a no-hitter. Only complete game in his career.
Ground ball on one hop to Jack Howell. Howell takes care of Ori. There's one out. Shane Reynolds could come up in the 8th inning if the Astros get a man on. This could be his final frame. The applause is for Kerry Wood. 15 strikeouts in his 4th major league start, in his 5th major league start in 7 innings. Cubs rookie record set by Dick Drott in May of '57 against Milwaukee, and tied by Bert Hooton in September of '91 at New York. 15 strikeouts as a rookie. Foul ball. There's strike one. Wood is 0 for 2, and their club record for strikeouts in a game is 17. That was set in 1906 by Jack Feister. But that was in a 15-inning game. Their record for a 9-inning game is 15. Rick Sutcliffe tied those 2 rookies we talked about. So one more strikeout, and he has a club record for a 9-inning ball game. Popped up. Biggio comes in, looking up into the raindrops above Wrigley. 2 outs. But Shane Reynolds is really pitching a ball game.
Yeah, you just have to, he's pitching great, and you just hope keep them right where they are, and Astros get a base runner or 2, and somebody pops one for you.
St. Louis and Pittsburgh play tonight with Stottlemyre and Schmidt. Cardinals have been slumping. Cubs won 3 out of 4 from them. They're trying to split this series with the Astros. Rain coming down on Brant Brown. Brown has 2 of the Cubbies' 6 hits off Shane. Now the Astros quickly are going to get a left-hander warmed up in their bullpen.
Billy Wagner loosening up. Shane Reynolds got the tongue depressor from Rex Jones and doing a little digging. Maybe Kerry Woods not a mutter. Maybe that's our chance.
Maybe so. Conditions are changing quickly here. Well, Shane had a lot of rain in his last start at Philadelphia. This rain just moved in very quickly. There's strike one. In that Milwaukee win over San Diego 3-2, it was Doug Jones getting the win. Reyes was the loser for the Padres. Kevin Brown and Scotty Carl the starters in that one. Maddox won for Atlanta over Los Angeles 7-0. 0-2 to Brant Brown.
Now the Astros are going to stop Billy Wagner, shut him down.
If he tweaked that groin when he went down to warm up.
Dave Ingles coming down towards Dirk in the dugout.
It wouldn't be good. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Two and 2. Detroit and Oakland underway. No score in the 1st inning. The Astros have not been shut out this year. Harry Durker's club in the 8th inning. Clark, Gutierrez, and Osmus. Biggio flips to Bagwell. The 8th inning is a moment away, and the Cubs lead it 1-0. Quite a day here, and now the rain could be putting a damper on Kerry Wood, or will it? That's the real question. He's fanned 15 in the first 7 innings. He leads it 1-0. It's been raining hard. Cubs have made a change in left field. Henry Rodriguez has been taken out of the game. Jose Hernandez going into play left so that Wood with a 1-0 lead can have a quicker defensive player. He hasn't needed much fielding support today, Jim.
You know, the Astros haven't put the ball in play very much against this big right-hander. I'd like to be an Astro hitter with all this rain and the potential that the ball might slip out of his hand or his footing might give way. He's throwing 96 miles an hour. It's not a very secure feeling.
No, not a comforting thought at all. Dave Clark getting a rare start is 0 for 2. Jack Howell getting a rare start, has struck out 3 times. Bob Scanlon is now working in the Houston bullpen. We're wondering if Billy Wagner got hurt when he went down to warm up, because he's had groin problems this year and he quickly stopped his warm-ups there, Jim.
Yeah, I don't know, Browning. I didn't see anything to indicate that he got hurt, but it was strange that he was up and down so quickly.
Dave Clark ready to go. Kerry Woods throws ball 1. The mound was treated between innings. Can become rather slippery.
Clark and Howell going into Larry Dierker's office after the game, say, "Hey, thanks for the start, Skip."
Yeah, right. 2 balls and no strikes, and the guys who didn't start would be going in saying, "No, really, thanks for not starting." 2 balls and no strikes to Clark, who had not faced Wood in spring training when he was with the Cubs last year, so had no reading at all on this hard-throwing right-hander. Wood last year walked 131, and that led the minor leagues. He hasn't walked anybody. 2-1. He hit a batter, Biggio, in the 6th inning. He had walked 12 in his first 18 1/3 innings prior to this game. That one missed the target. It's 3-1. Saw Martinez set up outside. The pitch was inside. Gutierrez on deck. Ausmus due up third in the inning. Andy Hawkins has been the most successful Texas high school draft choice the last 25 years in the majors. Fouled, and it's 3-2. Those who have followed the Astros for years are probably recalling the early years of J.R. Richard as they watch Kerry Wood. Crowd wants number 16, which would be a new club record for a 9-inning game. Clark fouls it away, staying alive. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
You must be losing it, Brownie. We made contact on that high heater.
Yeah. A foul ball is a triumph in this game. Struck him out. That's number 16, new club record for the Chicago Cubs for a 9-inning game.
That is so impressive. That's at least the 2nd time today he's thrown a 3-2 curveball to get a call at 3rd strike. Hitter has to be looking for the heater. Now called or swinging. Strikeout either way you look at it.
That breaks a record set by Dick Drott, Bert Hooton, and Rick Sutcliffe. Ricky Gutierrez takes a strike. He has the only hit for Houston, a ground ball just to the left of Kevin Ory in the 3rd inning.
Didn't Bill Gullickson have a big strikeout game as a rookie? Didn't he punch out 18?
Yeah, I think it was 18.
Is that the record for a rookie?
That probably is the record. That's number 17. 5 in a row again. That's the 3rd time in the game he's fanned 5 in a row.
This is incredible. Outside corner, thigh high. Little cheese on it.
Brad Ausmus with Bill Spires on deck to pinch hit for Shane Reynolds. The Astros club record for strikeouts in a game, 18, set by Don Wilson at Cincinnati. That was all the way back in 1968. Ausmus swings at that one in the dirt, 0-2, and Wood is one strike away from 18 himself.
You know, if he runs the string out, Brownie, that's a major league record, 21. Wow.
The fans are just really going nuts about Kerry Wood today. That is number 18 and 6 in a row for Kerry Wood. The Cubs lead it in the middle of the 8th, 1-0. One to nothing ball game. The Cubs got an unearned run in the second inning off Shane Reynolds. Kerry Wood is the story today. He's fanned 18. New club record for the Chicago Cubs. He leads it 1-0 as Shane Reynolds gets set to face the Cubs in the 8th inning with Morandini, Sosa, and Grace due up. Shane due to lead off the 9th for Houston, then Biggio and Bell. The rain has slacked up a little bit. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Houston Astros and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of the Houston Astros. They are standing on those rooftops with umbrellas. It's that big a game on a Wednesday afternoon in Chicago, May 6th, 1998. Kerry Wood, in his 5th major league start, has allowed 1 hit. It was a ground ball just to the left of a stretching Kevin Ory. The Astros with only 1 other base runner, Craig Biggio, hit by a pitch in the 6th. But since then, Wood has set down 7 in a row, 6 in a row on strikeouts. Now it's the bottom of the 8th and Mickey Morandini. Morandini is 0 for 3. 2 strikeouts and a double play ball. Back to Shane Reynolds. Ball 1. One ball and 1 strike.
You know, all the great strikeout games in history, Clemens and Nolan, talked about Gullickson's 18 earlier, Carlton. I wonder if anybody's ever done it without walking anybody.
Good question. Base hit to right field, a line drive by Morandini. Seaver had a 19 strikeout game in San Diego. But yeah, that is a very good question. Sammy Sosa is next. He's 1 for 3. Nobody warming up right now for Houston, but we do see some action headed down their way toward the bullpen after the hit by Morandini. Sosa's single in the 3rd extended his hitting streak to 13 games. If you're just getting home from work, pull up a chair. We think you'll want to see what happens from this point on. The tremendous day of Kerry Wood. Foul back. Strike 1 to Sosa. We're on the air at 7 o'clock Friday night. And it could be another well-pitched ball game when Mike Hampton toes the rubber against Jeff Juden of Milwaukee. Hampton 5-0, Juden 4-1. All 3 games of the series in Milwaukee coming your way right here on KNWS 51. Derek Bell's in right waiting for this one. 1 out. Sosa retired. Mark Grace next. Shane Reynolds, quite a warrior today with what he's up against. To have the staying power. He does not have a complete game this year. He's gone 7 innings twice. This is his longest outing of the year. Now 7 1/3. Throw goes to first on Morandini, who's 4 for 4 in steals. Astros starting pitchers are third in the league in ERA, behind Atlanta, New York. And they trail only Atlanta in innings pitched by starters. Smash goes foul into the bullpen area of the Astros. Bob Scanlon is warming up in that area. The Astros are 12-0 this year when their starting pitcher has an ERA in that game of 3 or less. Grace has scored the only run in the second. He led off with a single, continuing to third on an overthrow by Dave Clark, who was trying to get him at second base and threw it by Biggio and Bagwell. And he scored on a sac fly by Henry Rodriguez. That's all Kerry Wood has needed so far. 1-1, but Wood would welcome some more offense here in the 8th inning too.
Just as long as it doesn't take too long.
That's a good point.
He's probably anxious to get back on that hill.
Two balls and a strike. Quite often pitchers will be held in the minor leagues to a pitch count, and they won't have that many complete games. Kerry Wood has not had a complete game in his professional career.
Well, reading the notes on him, I found it curious to see that note. He was on the disabled list with soreness in his elbow.
Smash to right, base hit, Bell over to right center. Morandini will go first to third on Grace's second single. 1 out. Cubs trying to add to their 1-0 lead here in the 8th.
Mark Grace, just a great pure hitter, stays back, goes down and gets it. But the point I was making about Kerry Wood, normally when a guy goes on the DL, it'll be with some kind of a, tendonitis or something that deserves treatment. With Wood, it just said he had a sore elbow. And I think it's probably an idea of how cautious they are with him. First sign of any tenderness in the minor leagues, they'd probably shut him down.
Ausmus at the mound. Double play ball gets Shane Reynolds out of the inning. He faces Jose Hernandez. Hernandez was inserted as a defensive replacement in left field for Henry Rodriguez. He's hitting .229 with 3 home runs and 9 runs batted in. He has 48 at bats. Hernandez normally an infielder, but he's been playing some outfield this year. He homered last night in 4 trips. Started at third and then moved to center field. Strike 1 to Jose Hernandez. The Astros turn to double play in the 5th inning. Jeff Blauser's on deck. They'd love another one here, and just a crack at scoring a tying run in the 9th. The way Wood is throwing, a 1-0 lead seems huge already. 1 ball, 1 strike to Hernandez. Hernandez hit a pinch hit homer at LA April 24th off Ishmael Valdez. 1-2. Good pitch from Shane Reynolds.
The fan in the left field stands holding up a sign E5. Trying to get that scoring change on the base hit.
Yeah.
Ball that was hit by Kerry Wood.
Well, you talked about that at the time.
Well, the way this kid throws, he's one of those guys that's got no hit stuff when he takes the mound, and usually scorers think that you want to make sure that first hit is real clean.
Ground ball. Jack Howell will go to second. Biggio's throw not in time. It's 2-0. Morandini scores, and that run could be awfully big for Kerry Wood. Hernandez picks up the RBI on the ground out, his 10th run batted in.
Probably should have come home with this ball. Ball wasn't hit real hard at Jack. It was a tough double play to turn.
Jeff Blauser is a double and single in 3 trips. That's ball 1 to Blauser. Sandy Martinez on deck. 2-0 Cubs now. Throw to first, drives back the base runner, Hernandez.
Not that it would really change Kerry Woods' approach because he's got such good stuff and he had such good command all day, but with that 2-run lead, now he can really pitch for the strikeout because a walk doesn't put the tying run on base.
1-1.
I wonder if he has any idea the shot he has at history, if he knows he's within 3 of the major league record.
Check swing roller goes foul. 1-2. Well, if he grew up a big fan of Ryan and Clemens, he may have acquired that sense of history for strikeout games.
He probably knows the number, but he might not know how many he has.
Sometimes that's the case. Pitcher's in a groove and he's not aware of what he is doing.
He knows he's got a bundle of them.
Gordon Lakey, the special assistant to Toronto general manager Gord Ash, said Wood is the best pitching prospect he's seen. In the dirt, the runner going. The throw is there early, and Biggio puts the tag on Hernandez. Brad Ausmus guns out another one. But the Cubs get an insurance run in the 8th on 2 hits. Nobody left. We move to the 9th of a thriller for Kerry Wood. It's 2-0 Cubs. Here at historic Old Wrigley Field, a hitter's ballpark over the years, Kerry Wood has struck out 18. He's allowed 1 hit, and the fans are lobbying to have that hit changed to an error. It was a Ricky Gutierrez single in the 3rd inning off the glove of Kevin Ory. National League record is 19 strikeouts. Major League record is 20. Kerry Wood has the last 6 in a row and 12 of his last 15. As Bill Spires is the pinch hitter here in the 9th inning for Shane Reynolds. There's strike 1 on Spires. Spires started at 3rd last night, had an RBI double in the 7th inning to give the Astros the lead, and he later scored a run in that 5-run 7th. E5, they're saying, instead of the hit for Gutierrez in the 3rd inning. Spires puts one out of play. It's 0-2. Kerry Wood on the verge of a historic strikeout. Spires hitting .242, has no homers. His RBI last night was his 10th. As a pinch hitter, he's 0 for 6. Astros pinch hitters have not been very productive to this point of the season, with 6 hits and 45 at bats. No homers and 4 RBIs. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Cubs are getting right-hander Rod Beck, their closer, loose in the bullpen. He put a breaking ball up there for Bill Spires, and he fouled it. This is a record for the most strikeouts by a pitcher against the Astros. The previous record was 15. Wood has shattered that and gone 3 beyond it. Spires fouls it away. Had to be pretty quick to get a bat on that riding fastball. For Shane Reynolds, 8 innings of work on this day, 8 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned. He walked 2, and he struck out 10. That's number 19 for Kerry Wood, tying a National League record. Seaver struck out 19 at San Diego in the twilight.
This is a slider. Just bores in under the hands of Billy Spires. Man, is he up there with some lofty company. 20 years old.
Greg Biggio's 0 for 2. He was hit by a pitch. Ball 1 to Biggio. Kevin Ory plays even with the bag at third base. Hard to think about bunting a guy with the stuff that Wood has. Derek Bell's on deck in the 9th inning. Blauser gets a big hop. 2 outs. Cubs have 1 shutout this year. The Astros have not been blanked. Kerry Wood 1 out away from his first complete game, not only as a major leaguer but as a professional. Derek Bell struck out in the first inning. He's made contact twice since then. Fly ball to right field and a foul pop. Ball 1. Cubs shutout was by Kevin Tapani, a 13-0 win in Montreal.
We had a feeling this guy was going to be something special today. And threw the first fastball of the game by the catcher and hit the umpire right in the mask.
He's trying to make it a 1-hitter. Bell went for it. It's 1-2. Year-old Kerry Wood gets Derek Bell for his 20th strikeout, a National League record. He has his first Major League complete game and shutout, and it's a 1-hitter over the Houston Astros. They're mobbing Kerry Wood at the mound. The young Texan has blanked the Astros 2-0. This one certainly was. What an incredible day for Kerry Wood. And he ties the Major League record with 20 strikeouts. Jim Deshaies, this was one of those days that leaves us awestruck.
Now, one of the greatest pitching performances in the history of the game, Brownie. 20 punch outs, 1 single that could have been called an error. It was marginal off the glove of Kevin Ory, and no walks. What a brilliant performance by Kerry Wood.
We'll be right back to Wrigley Field, where the fans are still applauding Kerry Wood.